So what most of you don't see here today is we have a really great staff in Minneapolis, and they're from an organization called Science Societies, and Shannon, who is our, and I'm going to get this, I'm not going to mess it up. Shannon is our marketing manager, and so what she's doing is she's running the video from a distance. So we really are a little bit technically savvy here at the Master Brewers. Surprisingly, we're just a bunch of brewers. We don't do these things, these marketing things. So my thanks to Shannon, who's making all of this possible today. So I'm talking to you from Denver, Colorado, and I can't believe that it's already halfway through 2019, and my presidency year of the Master Brewers is, well, just about halfway over. And man, has it been a rundown of a lot of significant events this year, and I intend to talk to you about a lot of that stuff today. It's been pretty darn busy. We have 4 months to the convention in Calgary. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is we're going to do a little bit of introduction because I really want you to know who I am as a leadership of the Master Brewers. And I think when I see people at district meetings, and I attend quite a few district meetings, and that's one of our roles as a senior leadership. And when I see you at convention events, then you'll know kind of who I am, and we'll have something to talk about. It's sort of building a little bit of rapport by distance. So, and you got to remember, Master Brewers, I'm going to tell you this again, this is a participation game. This is about getting you guys to go to the district meetings. That's the real wealth of what we do for our membership, along with the support that we get from our staff in Minneapolis at Science Society. So I'll tell Shannon, thanks a lot. We both have our caffeine in hand. So I know Shannon's drinking her tea, and I've got my coffee here. And we'll just work through this. So this is kind of a first. This is the first time we've ever done kind of a video president's message, and that's pretty darn cool. So if you didn't catch it, and I don't think I said it, but my name is Toby Eppard, and I am the current president of the Master Brewers. And like I said, I got my cheat sheet over here. So if I'm looking both directions, you'll know why I'm doing that. Okay. Like I said, it's nice and sunny here in Colorado. If you know anything about Colorado, I live a little bit southwest of the Denver metro area, right up against the foothills. I'm about 14 miles away from the massive Golden Coors Brewery, where I spent 32 years of my professional life. And it's sunny outside. We get about 300 days of sunshine, endless recreational opportunities. I could talk loads about what Colorado is all about. But I wanted you to know it is sunny here today, and it's beautiful. In fact, Shannon said, surprisingly in the Midwest in Minneapolis, it's actually sunny there too. And I can see the sun coming through the window behind you. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do a little bit of introduction, and then I'm going to kind of go through what's new and cool at the Master Brewers. What are we working for? What is the executive team doing together to deliver more content and value to the membership? And we'll talk through that. And I'm sure that it'll resonate with you, this thing that we call, a vision and our ways of working. So we'll talk through those things. And then finally, I'm going to wrap it up with a shameless advertisement for the Calgary convention. I can't believe what Darren and the staff at Minneapolis has gotten worked out for Calgary this fall. It's going to be a great event. Again, it's participation sport. We got to get you there. Okay, so a little bit about me. So I am a true Colorado native. In fact, me and my wife's family, if you know anything about the Western United States and the mass migrations that happened, with peoples coming across the country back in the early 1800s, both of our families came here as pioneers. And so it really was that, Horace Greeley said, "Go west, young man, and find your fortune." Well, both of our families did that. So we are true natives here. I have a great picture here. I'm gonna share this. This is one of my props here. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. This is my wife Susan and my grown daughter Elise and my grown son Evan, and that big ugly guy, that's me. And so yeah, and you're probably thinking the same thing, Toby. How did you get so lucky, and how was she so lost? So yeah, I agree with you. So Susan, my wife, who was a kindergarten teacher, she's also retired now. Yeah, she's a saint. She's a kindergarten teacher. If you've got 35-year-olds and you're herding them around the building and making sure they're safe and learning something, that's a pretty special individual, right? So she's been my support structure we're going on 30 years here in August. It will be 30 years. And again, yep, that's right. I was lucky. And then my grown daughter, Elise, she just finished her master's at Colorado State University this couple years ago, and she's actually working at the university. And her role, it's a great role. Her role really is to coach incoming freshmen who have undecided majors. In other words, I haven't quite decided what I want to do yet. So, boy, that takes a special individual if you think about that, right? You've got to really steer them. And wow, she's mature beyond her years. And she's fortunate to be married now. She's married to a young man his name is Andy. And Andy is a no kidding rocket scientist. He builds satellites at Martin here in the foothills of Colorado. So we think a lot of Andy, and he is extremely special. Now, Evan, my son, he's my fishing buddy, and I used to coach his baseball games, and we're just the best of friends. Now, Evan just finished at Colorado State University as well. He's an environmental scientist, and in fact, he just got his first real big boy job this couple months ago, and it was funny. Yesterday, he got his first paycheck, and he said, "Wow, college really was worth going to. There's some real rewards in this, and I like what I'm doing." There you go. So we're really lucky. And Evan hangs out with this really nice young lady. Her name is Delaney, and we're kind of hopeful that they sort of make that a going concern. But we think a lot of Delaney. So yeah, I'm retired now, 32 years at Adolph Coors Company. I started in 1986. I can't believe, 32 years. I can't even believe how lucky I was. And a lot of you might be thinking the same thing. How lucky did we get to work in an industry where, you can have fun at work and you can experience a manufacturing process. You can do new product. I mean, the sky's the limit. Engineering, NPD, everything. We are just fortunate people. And I still can't believe from those first humble days of my first big boy job in Golden, showing up, my first job was cleaning aging tanks, these great big glass lined tanks. There's over 1,500 of them in Golden. Golden's the biggest brewery in the world. What a great environment to learn the craft and the science of brewing. So I was pretty darn fortunate. But I kind of matured out of, working in the operations organization. Some of the best stuff I ever did was cleaning tanks and getting to understand what it was like to be, at a brewery at 5 a.m. or 3 a.m. when it's quiet, and sometimes you think there's ghosties following you around the place. It's your mind kind of plays with you a little bit in the middle of the night. But we all had that experience of working in operations, and from operations, I went to working in the quality organization to use my background as a microbiologist and a chemist. And that was a really great move. Got to do a lot of special projects. And then eventually worked into the malt house, the malting laboratory, and then into the leadership of the research and development team, where I got to work with some of the great giants in our world of industry, not only from Coors Brewing Company, but from the Burton Brewery in the UK, with the guys like David Quain, and individuals like this who are just, like I said, some of the giants. And I had great opportunity to work with them. My greatest mentor, and I know he's going to hate it that I bring it up, but Dave Thomas, who was one of my first mentors here in Golden. I have so much to thank to be able to work with such a great man, and Hugo Patino as well. And then recently with Dr. David Ryder, and then my good friend, Mr. Bob Taylor, who has been always a great support. So again, I've just had a great, great history. I would be remiss if I didn't say something about my good friend, Warren Quilliam, who just passed away here this last month. And you're greatly missed, Warren, and I know there was many people out here that loved him just as much as I do, and you're going to be greatly missed. But we learn from each other, and that's the point. So that's a little bit about me. I also work, believe it or not, in my retirement. I work at the Institute of Brewing and Distilling. I'm fortunate to be part of the examiner team. So Jerry Avis and Angus, thank you for allowing me to continue in that role. It's part of one of those things that if anybody knows me, they'll know that I teach quite a bit, and they always feel like they're getting lectured at some point, because it is about sharing knowledge. One of our pillars of the Master Brewers is sharing knowledge. And I think I kind of just click right in with that, because you're going to get a lesson at one point. So I'm really proud to be part of the Institute of Brewing and Distilling, like I am being proud of as being part of the leadership team at the Master Brewers. So thanks, Angus and Jerry, for allowing me to continue on with that. I also teach at Colorado State University. I do teach the Brewing Science Foundational course of the junior year of undergraduate students. And this fall, they're also going to be victimized a little bit because they're going to get me for the operations management coursework for their senior year. So that's going to be a way of wrapping it up altogether. So what do I like to do in my spare time when Susan isn't having me work on a honeydew list? Lately, it was fixing lights in our kitchen and drywall repair, and well, that's kind of what retired guys do, right? But I also study classic guitar and I fish an awful lot. So, and I'm glad to do it. In fact, I was up at Lake Urad with my wife and my son fly fishing for what are called tiger trout, which are kind of a hybrid between brook trout and brown trout. And they're pretty aggressive and they're small and feisty. And my dog Brinley, I got this great big brown chocolate lab. She's wonderful. And so every time I catch a fish and drag it to the shore, she's trying to snap at it, which is kind of a little bit of a comedy act happening in person. All right. So enough about me, but I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody when we're at district meetings and we're at the Calgary convention. And that's the point. I really do want you to get to know who we are and who I am as a leader of the Master Brewers. So let's just get in with kind of the stuff that I really want to talk about. And of course, if anybody knows, we're always going to start with a note on safety. And then I'm going to talk you through the Master Brewers news, and then we're going to get right to what's going on in the convention. All right. So with regard to safety, this next month, you're going to see, and I'm really excited about this one because lockout, tagout, and then I would add tryout. That's kind of my work history of the additional part of what lockout and tagout are, is that you have to de-energize equipment. You have to make sure that people understand that you're working on a piece of equipment before that equipment gets started up again. These are just basic safety premises. And like I said before, Sue kind of likes it when I have all my fingers to be able to do things. And, and your children will really appreciate it when you come back with all your body parts at the end of the day. And the lockout, tagout process required in all breweries, of course, and training required as well. But this is such an integral part of being safe. So I would challenge you, go out to those Master Brewer resources. We're going to have a really, and I dare say it, exciting webinar this month on lockout, tagout. And we've got the real pros of the industry that are going to teach you the principles of this. I would challenge you to do an assessment, to create documentation, and then teach your people these guidelines. All right? Serious about that. All right. So all seriousness aside. Okay. So what's going on in the Master Brewers? Well, heck, there's a lot of change going on. We all know it. I mean, I was at the Brewers Association convention a couple of months ago, and I heard the leadership team there, Paul, my good friend, was saying that, the industry is changing. We're being challenged. We're seeing a lot of marketing pressure, a lot of brands. And you know what? The Master Brewers is just like that as well. We are changing. We are seeing what the future looks like, at least, in our think tank of the world, with the Board of Governors and with our executive team and our staff in St. Paul, we're seeing the changes come. We're seeing some exciting new ways to be able to, get information to our membership. Like, well, this is an example, right? And we're going to use those new methods to be able to do that because we all know that we're working adults and it's not easy to sit down and read every darn thing. Sometimes it's easier to plug it in as we're going down the highway, and I hope that doesn't get you distracted, but it distracts me, okay? Just saying. But I would just tell you that we're just trying some new and different things. And this is an example of it. And change is prevalent. Change is big, okay? So 2 years ago, we sat down as an executive team and we kind of created a vision. Now we always hear these things, executives sitting, in smoke-filled cigar rooms and, and they kind of work out what the future is. But really what you're doing is you're kind of looking at the business landscape or what our society is going to go through and what we're going to experience, at least from what we know today. We get together and we say, hey, this is coming, that's coming, and we create kind of, all right, where are we going as an organization? It's the same thing that you do as a business as well, right? You guys decide these are going to be our goals for the next year. Well, as an executive team, this is exactly what we do. So the idea there is to get our board of governors involved in that process. Now you have in each one of your districts a board of governors member, and we aim to get the board of governors more integrated with the executive team. And so that vision is about creating knowledge opportunity. It's about training. It's about safety. It's about all these different things. But the one thing that's really been missing in our master brewers is sort of what I call ways of working. Now that's a term I sort of stole from the guys at South African breweries. I used to love it when they would say our ways of working. And so your ways of working are really your mission. So you have a vision, this is what we want to be, and then our mission is our ways of working. So that is, how do we get information? How do we decide what to do as an organization? Well, the good news is we have a board of directors to help us do this, all right? And that board of directors is our board of governors. So from our vision, we've been creating this yearly business cycle. And that yearly business cycle includes our ways of working. And right now, what we're doing is we are working through, okay, how do we get input from the districts? And we're doing two exciting the basis of how we get information so that our board of governors can make good decisions, because the executive team's role really is to be able to act upon what the board of governors wishes us to do. And I don't want to guess about what that is. So the best way to do it is to get everybody in the organization to provide input, to get information from the outside world, from the IBD, from the Brewers Association in Boulder, from the small brewers, the big brewers, and then bring this together and have our board of directors, our board of governors, make those decisions for us. So the really cool thing about that is, wow, we have gone way down the road. We have a vision. We know how to do this. We're testing it. In fact, at the Calgary convention this fall, our board of governors has come together. We are going to vote. We're going to present. We're going to teach them what their role is in the organization and what we expect of them as a board of directors or board of governors. And they're going to make decisions, and they're going to tell us as an organization, the executive leadership team, here's our priorities this year. Our executive team will take that information and we will engage our committees and our resources. And we have a lot of resources of the Master Brewers. We just need to know what to apply them to. So that's a big word picture of what's been going on. That's a lot of change, you know, and I know that Chris and John and our next second vice president is coming on. We're all engaged in this, and together we have built what this new world looks like for the Master Brewers. But really what it means for us, and I would tell you that Jeff Eaton, who is part of this process, he would say, you know, Toby, this just sounds like more for the membership. And I said, that's right, Jeff. It's more for the membership. It's more for our team. So that's really all I have to say about what's going on. That's a lot of change this year. Next month, when I talk to you again via video, I promise I'll shorten it down a little bit. I won't have to do introductions. But I'm going to talk to you about the results of what those trials told us in District Midwest in Columbus and in Rocky Mountain when we launched those first. How do we get information from our team to be able to make those decisions? And we're also going to talk to Darren Goodlin, who is the technical committee chair or co-chair, about what's going on in the convention. So that's a nice segue, right? So the convention's going to be in Calgary, Alberta, Canada this fall, and it's right at the end of October. And I know that's kind of a bummer because some of us, you know, we have to work hard, we have to make beer, and some of us have to work hard anyway. But I would challenge you, remember that the Master Brewers, it's a participation sport. You know, you got to get involved in the districts. You got to get involved in leadership. What's in it for you is you get to understand what it means to lead teams and do good stuff. And you're already doing that. So I would challenge you, you know, make sure you get to Calgary. Make sure you get to your district meetings. And we're going to have a great time. We have a planned, what they call a Western welcome at Calgary. It involves white cowboy hats and saying hello to Canada. Part of being in the Master Brewers is about being involved. And so my greatest hope is to make sure that you get engaged at the district level and that we see you in person at the Calgary convention. So thank you for your attention. I'm really optimistic, and I absolutely know with everything I am, we have an outstanding organization, and I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody at district meetings and in Calgary. That's all I got to say today.